Hey guys, welcome to Solo ReacTalk. Today I'm going to be reacting to Stellaris Invicta, the Antares Confederacy, made by the Templin Institute. And today's episode is called the United Terran Protectorates. Now, I've just watched The Fall of Molecular. If you want to check that out and all my other reactions, I'll put the playlist right up top here. Just click on it and you'll be able to access them. Okay, let's start. 3, 2, 1.
Among the many exhibits in the great museums of Earth are those that depict the eras in human history, some not so long ago, that are today as alien as any of the Xenos civilizations discovered beyond the far frontier. Behind glass displays, visitors marvel at the relics of ancient battles, the crumbling accounts of great disasters, famine, and strife. It seems impossible that once there had been a time when mankind turned its swords upon one another, when greed and corruption left tens of millions to die beneath the jackboot of tyranny, when the extinction of the human race was not only possible, but likely. But the most beloved exhibit is always the one that shows how the age of despair ended. The day that great lights from above pierced through the smoke of ruined cities and burning fields and brought humanity into contact with their collaborators. And even as centuries of progress and triumph consigned that great moment further into history, none have ever forgotten that this was the dawn of the United Terran Protectorates. By the mid-2100s, mankind's efforts to colonize distant stars had collapsed. Sirius, Tau Ceti, and Epsilon Indi, sites of the first extrasolar colonies, languished, unable to provide the raw resources that Earth so desperately needed. With the bounties of space still out of reach and the efforts across the solar system insufficient, the empires of Earth grew desperate. On March 1st, 2159...
Okay, I'm lost. I'm not entirely sure if this... I'm not entirely sure what I'm listening to. The empires of Earth? What? Okay, let me just continue.
The great leaders of mankind, its kings, queens, and nobility, declared that their subjects did not deserve them. In their hypocrisy, they blamed their own failures on those who had suffered most under them. Together, they gathered what little wealth and power remained, and in a grand flotilla, the Earhart evacuation effort set off for the paradise world of Antares to begin anew. All others would be left to die.
Okay, what is this? What is this? What is this? We all know that didn't happen. It wasn't royalty, it wasn't kings and queens who left on the ships going for Antares. What is this?
On Earth, the ever-expanding ecological collapse left entire regions of the planet uninhabitable, and the ensuing refugee crisis dissolved nations. To protect what little remained from those outside their borders, the last kingdoms went to war and only hastened the destruction of their world. When the Great Lights first appeared, millions grew fearful it was some new weapon deployed by their enemies, or perhaps even the wrath of God. The great forms that emerged from the light dwarfed even the largest remaining cities, and it was clear that whatever they were not the work of man. Then came the realization that they were neither weapons nor the divine, but travelers from across the stars. The first representatives of the collaborators that appeared across the world came not as conquerors, but as saviors. The early decades were difficult, for mankind of that era was prone to suspicion and hatred. Many feared the collaborators, but through their efforts came miracles. Almost overnight, human civilization was transformed. Advanced technologies made gardens out of deserts, riches out of poverty, and joy out of anguish. The archaic forms of governance that for so long had hindered the development of mankind were cast away, and democracy, the will of the people flourished in its place. As
What? No, man. No. This must be like propaganda or something. Wow, I never thought Stellaris Invicta would actually head this path. You know, the narrator would be reciting propaganda from the, what were they called again? Where did I write it? The Screc? Yeah. I I never expected the narrator for Stellaris Invicta, Antares Confederacy, to be telling us about the what did he call them? The travelers? You know, making them look good and benevolent, and you know, trying to help humanity on Earth, and it- what I don't understand is the part where he says there were kingdoms and empires on Earth, and that they left on a ship to the Antares Confederacy or the Antares system. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. And this part here is also quite interesting, that humanity was ruled over by kingdoms, and then these travelers gave humanity democracy. That's another lie. That's a lie. Oh gosh, okay. So this is propaganda.
all of Earth was put on this great new path, the collaborators made their preparations to leave, satisfied that their work was now done. But the people of Earth asked that they stay. It was clear to mankind that there was still so much to learn from the collaborators, and the feeling that a great debt must be repaid. In a profound ceremony, the collaborators graciously accepted stewardship over the Earth, declaring it the newest shining jewel in a great crown of starfaring planets. Humanity celebrated as old kingdoms were dissolved and Terran Protectorates established in their place. With the blessing of the collaborators, mankind again set forth on its own journey to the stars, determined to succeed where before they had failed. One by one, the old colonies were reclaimed, and there arose a deep feeling that justice had been done when it was discovered that the Earhart evacuation effort had never reached their destination. New star systems were charted and colonized as well, and for mankind's efforts, the United Terran Protectorates were rewarded. Enormous structures, thousands of years beyond anything mankind might build, were bestowed by the collaborators. From each came a wealth of energy and natural resources, enough to sustain the whole of human civilization forever. When the first xenospecies were discovered, the Protectorates looked upon them with the same sense of sorrow and compassion that the collaborators had displayed towards mankind. Many races across the galaxy had been allowed to develop without a firm guiding hand, and their ceaseless wars against one another could not be allowed to go on. When the United Terran Protectorates petitioned the collaborators to allow them to bring outsiders into the fold, the patrons of mankind were pleased and revealed that this had been their intentions all along. Today, the United Terran Protectorates stand as a bulwark of stability and order in an increasingly chaotic galaxy. As a self-styled enlightened democracy, absolute power is invested in the President of the Executive Council, the only individual permitted unrestricted contact with the collaborators. The Executive Council itself...
Do you want to know why? Because he's a puppet. Of course, the puppet needs to have direct communication with the puppeteer. He's a puppet.
serves as a body of the President's highest human advisors, appointed from each of the 311 national protectorates. While various presidents might name a few dozen amongst the Council's number to their personal cabinet, generally its members are organized into a variety of committees, each specializing in a particular field. While the Executive Council has the ability to draft and implement laws, they are ultimately subordinate to the will of the collaborators, which typically reveals itself through the directives of the President. The National Protectorates, or NPs, have very little power in themselves and primarily serve to implement policy decided at the federal level or individual collaborators. Many of the NPs have been assigned to a particular type of industry, with manufacturing protectorates, agricultural protectorates, and energy protectorates the most common. While only the Executive Council maintains extensive two-way communications with the collaborators, many NPs have a high advocate. This individual, selected from among the ranks of the collaborators, serves as an NP's dedicated benefactor, often issuing decrees or directives that overrule any local legislation. While the process of how a high advocate is selected from among the collaborators remains unknown, it can occur in a number of different ways. It is not uncommon for a high advocate to be replaced without warning, and the focus of an entire national protectorate drastically altered to suit the needs of their new patron. It is also not unheard of for national protectorates to go to war with one another on the whims of their respected high advocates, with the losing realm incorporated into the domain of the winner. In at least one instance,
realm, domain. This sounds like nobility or some sort of lords and dukes and duchesses who are controlling vast tracts of land on Earth and everybody under it, and they can determine the fate of millions at a whim. They can declare war against other dukes and lords and duchesses and, other nobility. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like a hereditary rule, if I can say that. Yeah. Man. I see you. I hear you. Stellaris Invicta narrator. You're not fooling me. You're not fooling me. Okay? I know that Earth is occupied. This propaganda is not going to work on me.
Citizens of one protectorate were delighted to learn that they had been given to their high advocate as part of what might be described as her coming-of-age ceremony. Regardless of what industry or direct...
So a slave? A slave. Okay.
If each national protectorate pursues, their primary function is providing material towards the armed forces. This material takes many forms, from ration packs and other consumables, to military hardware, to manpower. It is directed into the United Terran Protectorate's three primary branches: the Protectorate Navy, Protectorate Army, and the Protectorate Civil Defense Corps. The Protectorate Navy and Army serve as the collaborators' expeditionary forces, granted the authority to bring new worlds into the fold. They aid in the transition of foreign civilizations into either new protectorates administered directly by the UTP or other sovereign territories under the collaborators. The Civil Defense Corps, by contrast, are deployed as garrison detachments across various national protectorates to keep local populations secure and protected. Military service.
They mean pacified. Keep the populations pacified, and eradication if necessary.
This is seen as the highest form of patriotism within the UTP, the most noble means of fulfilling a kind of social contract known informally as the Great Debt. The Great Debt is one of the central tenets of Terran civilization and refers to an immense feeling of obligation within the general populace to their collaborators and the need to repay them for saving mankind. This payment takes...
And let me guess, this payment is perpetual. Forever. Forever and ever and amen. That's insane. There's this saying, tell a lie 100 times, 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times, 1,000,000,000 times, and it will eventually become true. That's what's been done here. The people here have been told lies so many times. They've been drilled into these lies in school, in society, that it has become truth now. The collaborators are their saviors. They are their omnipotent gods, if you can say that. This is so depressing. Okay.
Many forms, but the most famous examples are the regiments and divisions taken from the Army and Navy to serve immediately under the collaborators in distant regions of the galaxy. The campaigns undertaken by the Protectorate's armed forces have brought not only a renewed feeling of pride to humanity, but new worlds and new laborers. In every national protectorate, Thymodians, Tavarites, Zelvan, and Beldros can all be found working together to earn their eventual citizenship. It is a concrete reminder of the collaborators' intense desire to see all races of the galaxy come together for the common good. Despite these noble intentions, the wider galaxy has so far rejected the benevolence of the collaborators. While the United Terran Protectorates once enjoyed a place of prominence as a council member in the early days of the galactic community, it has since been shunned and denied its rightful status. Even after the collaborators moved to save the galaxy from the rise of a volatile Bantherian warlord, the various Xeno civilizations have refused to ascend above their petty rivalries and wars. It is with a profound sense of sadness that many within the Protectorates now see further conflict as the only way by which peace and stability might be achieved. The failures of mankind being repeated across the galaxy by the untamed Xenos masses has traditionally been used by the collaborators to instill a feeling of solace within the few humans afforded the knowledge of their place within the galaxy. When permitted to understand the depths of suffering within alien empires, every human president, admiral, administrator, and diplomat recognizes the superiority of their own society. Education must be limited, information curated. Only then will humanity be free. It is only in private that the leaders of the Terran Protectorates express their doubts. They do so in secluded retreats, far outside, it is hoped, the capacity of the collaborators to overhear. The survival of the Earhart evacuation flotilla was a tremendous shock, and at the request of their patrons, contact with their lost cousins has been severed. Yet even the brief interactions within the galactic community and the reconnaissance conducted on their worlds has given rise to a troubling idea. The history of the Earhart flotilla and the Confederate republics of Antares it gave rise to paint a very different picture than the one depicted in the museums of Earth. Once the leaders of the UTP would never have questioned the teachings of the collaborators, now they look upon the terrible craters where once stood the great and ancient cities of mankind with unease. Diplomats assigned to the galactic community are being replaced more and more quickly, predecessors vanishing from every record. If the most dire theories are true, then the Terran Protectorates have been lied to for centuries and survive now only as captives inside a prison that most are too blind to see. But perhaps, in a distant corner of the galaxy once hidden within a miasma beyond even the sight of the collaborators, the means to be truly free are finally within reach.
This investigation is based on Stellaris Invicta Season 2. If you'd like to join the Temple Institute as we lead the Antares Confederacy to liberate Earth, the next stream begins 1 hour after this episode premiered over on our Twitch channel. You'll find the links in the description.
Listen, the narrator got me in the first half. I'm not going to lie. Like, he really had me almost for at least 2 to 3 minutes. He got me because I was eating up all those words he was saying. But then I started to realize, like, no, man, this doesn't sound right. What made it even more apparent that this was propaganda is when he was saying that we were ruled by kings and queens and empires, and those nobles and rich people went onto the ships heading to Antares. That's where he got me there. I'm like, no, man, this is all lies. What you're telling me here are lies, everything. I feel very emotional right now. This is good. This is actually good. It means that the work that the Temple Institute has put into this series is very good. If I'm feeling this emotional about it, that means it's working, because really I was so flabbergasted after hearing everything. Oh gosh. But yeah, you know. I guess now we just have to wait for the Antares Confederacy and its Federation allied members to build up their fleets and to get ready to free Earth. But it's going to be a hard process because the people of Earth and their colonies have all been indoctrinated and believe that the Skrek, the Skrek are their guardian protectors. They are the people who save them from calamity and apocalypse. When in actual fact, it was them who brought them to the brink of extinction. But anyways, like I said, it's going to be very difficult to try and convince the populace, but it must be done. This little charade, this little dream world that they have been in for so many generations needs to come to an end. And if it means that end must occur with destruction, fire, even death, just for you to wake up, then so be it. Because this is not a life to be led, you know. It's not the kind of life I would want for humanity and its colonies. It's not the kind of life I would want for any Xeno population that lives within the within the United Terran Protectorates. They all need to be free. And it's going to be a bloody freedom conflict. Yeah, people are going to be paying a lot of blood, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of pain, but in the end it will come. That freedom will come, and they will not enjoy it. The current generation of people, it will be the future generations of Earth and its colonies and everybody else who will enjoy it. Not you guys, I'm sorry, but the people who are born right now and who are going to be experiencing this war between the Antares Confederacy and the United Terran Protectorates, the war that you guys will be experiencing, it will be hard on you guys. You will suffer. But for your future generations, they must reap the benefits. And they will. Man, I'm feeling, I'm really emotional right now. Okay, let me stop here before I get angry again. But yeah, guys, this was good. This was really good. The Temple Institute, well done. Well done. I love this. This was good. Okay, guys, remember, if you want to watch my previous reaction to the Fall of Malakia, I'll put the playlist cards right up here. Just click on it, that icon, the eye icon. Click on it and you'll be able to access them. If you like the video, give me a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Click on the notification bell if you want to be up to date with my latest videos. And I will see you next time. Hopefully, the war will begin. Okay. Bye-bye.